Michael, I'm so glad to have you on to talk about what PMM success looks like and how to get there. And you've impressed me with the way you've been able to steer through different organizations and bring a customer perspective in. I'd love to hear about your journey as a product marketing manager. How did you get started? How did a nice guy like you get into a business like this?
So the role was like a generalist marketing manager, and it ran the gamut from corporate communications, like fundraising support, digital marketing and customer acquisition, partner marketing, and as I mentioned, I accidentally did a whole lot of product marketing before I really knew what that was. Sometimes the best way to learn something is to do it. However well it happens, you could do it wrong and still learn. So I think I did some things wrong there and some things right. Through that experience, I was like, wow, product marketing is incredibly valuable, more than the role that I had, because without it, I wasn't going to be that successful. Why don't I go and take a full-time product marketing role and build my career there? That's fascinating. So that's what I did. And I went to another company called Hearsay Systems, Sequoia-backed company in San Francisco, and took a product marketing role on their, marketing team there. I've worked now in 3 formal product marketing roles. The first being Hearsay Systems. I've had 2 others since then, both of which were formal product marketing leadership roles, which was wonderful to be able to work with super talented PMMs and just foster their growth and work with a broader team to help the company grow a whole lot faster. So yeah, 3 formal roles. And if I'm allowed to count the first one that showed me what product marketing is, we could call it 4.
Michael, that sounds really compelling. And it sounds like something that you'd kind of expect everybody to be doing. So why is that like a finding? Why was that a discovery? Why isn't everybody doing this?
It's such an interesting question. I mean, I think building a business is very difficult. Building, a business from scratch, obviously very difficult. You have a finite amount of money that was raised for a certain given period of time, and it was raised with like a pretty strongly held hypothesis, which may or may not be true, at least completely true. And so it's really easy to just get into execution mode. And I think in this role that I'd sort of described, I was pretty young, relatively junior. I'm a marketing manager just trying to execute marketing campaigns, create some collateral, and generate some demand, using all the strategic inputs that were basically given to me from, other folks in very influential positions at this company, as you might imagine. So I think it's just really easy, and it's almost human nature at times to just start executing and start doing the work and get busy, stay busy, and just keep your foot on the gas. And it's just a common trap that we all fall into. And we just keep thinking like, oh, didn't quite generate as much demand as we wanted, didn't quite generate as many sales as we wanted. Well, gosh, if we added a couple more channels, if we just worked a little bit harder, if we just had XYZ pieces of content with some ad spend behind it, it seems easier given our psychology in the work environments we sometimes create to do that versus to be the person who goes, time out, let's take a step back. Let's see the forest for the trees. Let's actually carve out both the budget and the time to do some just pure listening to the market to understand what we're getting right, what we're getting wrong, and find out what we don't know and see if there are strategic implications for our business based on what we don't know. For some reason, that in many organizations is a hard sell, despite the fact that it can, from where I sit now, provide significantly more value than hiring a few individual contributors and squeezing them for more hours a week.
You're saying work smarter versus work harder.
That would have been a much faster answer to that question. That's exactly right. Sometimes the fastest way to get to where you're going is slowly.
I could imagine that, senior management doesn't always want to hear that, think that way. It appears that you've been successful in getting them to think that way. How have you done that?
From my perspective, the best way to help get folks to press pause and listen to the market and learn from it is to articulate opportunities to accelerate the company's growth rate by doing so. Your growth rate as a startup, any business, right, that's trying to increase in size is the only thing that matters. Marketing for marketing doesn't matter. It's really all about, customer acquisition and the retention of those customers. Obviously, the cost to acquire them comes into play, but you want to be able to sell more stuff month over month, year over year, retain the clients that you've already sold to have as high a growth rate as possible. And so if you're able to point out, challenges as it pertains to the company's growth rate, whether it's like a lack of pipeline, a low retention rate, a low win rate, and position market research, customer insights, understanding the voice of the customer and their needs better as a solution to those real critical business challenges, then you're going to be successful in getting the team to let you take a quarter and take a small budget to do that work. Otherwise, it just sounds like noise, I would imagine, to a management team and a leadership team, because it isn't a problem that they're maniacally focused on. Whereas growth rate, frankly, is, because they've raised money from investors and they have targets to hit. So of the many ways that I've positioned this unsuccessfully, through those failures, basically I've learned the way to position it is in service to our growth rate, because that's all that matters at the end of the day.
If I heard you correctly, it takes about a quarter to get the insights to load back into the machine. And then it takes about 6 months, if you have a really long purchase cycle, to be able to start to hear back from sales, from customer success, from product, that it's making sense.
That's exactly right. And that naturally would be dramatically accelerated if you were running a consumer business or an SMB business that lent itself more directly to digital marketing, with attribution straight through to purchase. But yeah, an enterprise SaaS where I've sort of built my career takes a little bit longer.
Michael, you've talked about customer insights being important for growing pipeline, increasing the win rate, increasing your retention rates. How do you, based on the experiences that you've had, how does that get reflected in your experience? What have people come to you and said that you've said to yourself, oh, I'm so glad I did that. That was really worthwhile, because I never would have heard that otherwise.
This almost sounds like bragging, but it's just such a near and dear moment. Like it really meant a lot to me to hear this. But I had an engineering manager. First of all, I had an incredible product manager that I worked with, who was almost like a general manager for his product line. And he brought the broader team in to the problem a couple of jobs ago when we were working on a retention rate issue. And I had the engineering manager who led our entire team of engineers pull me aside after a meeting one time and go, you're really good at this, right? And it just warmed my heart, because there's a little bit, I think, in us all of, imposter syndrome, where we're kind of faking it. And you're at work where, your demeanor isn't necessarily your personal you. And so it meant so much to hear that. And so while it might not be helpful to folks listening to this, it was the first moment I went like, oh, wow, me providing context and the story that the team, who rarely, if ever, gets to interact with customers on, and if they do, they're interacting with maybe an admin or user level customers, not necessarily the buyers, providing them with like the story and the full context within which they're working to solve our business problems, not just our products like problems, um, was pretty fascinating. I despite the fact that I knew it could help us sell more product, I didn't really realize how helpful it was to motivating your cross-functional partners if they actually understood like the customer's challenge we're solving, because it's so obfuscated to them oftentimes.
What has been your experience in hearing from sales, before insight and after insight? Has that made any difference?
Sales naturally comes into their relationship with you and their posture with you like guarded, as they should, right? Because it's easy for them to also load things in from others in the business that slows their sales cycle down, because it's not really the solution to the customer's problem that they already know. And so prior to customer insight, the best relationships I had with sales was one where I got them what they needed. And I clarified things for them so that they could be effective. Shifting into post, like we've run a really tight win-loss analysis, and we've got very actionable customer insight that has strategic implications for our whole business. And it has like implications for their active deals, which, to be explicit, salespeople are coin operated as they should be. And like, if you can come to them and go, I'm pretty sure I can make sure you get paid, they're going to love that. And basically being able to come to them and go, no, I have pretty well researched and pretty tight customer insight that's going to help you win more. I mean, you're going to go from their like friend to their just favorite person at work, as you should. And as a result, a lot of the like sometimes tense moments between sales and marketing, and the misalignment and somewhat silly disagreements like go away when they know that, no, you're championing the voice of the customer in a way that helps our business win faster and more frequently. It's just a game changer in terms of your relationship with sales, because you've now shown them that you see the world like on the same level that they do.
So Michael, this is something that it seems like anyone could do. You talked about listening to the market. How do you listen to the market? What does that mean? It sounds great. What does that really mean?
Yeah, there's obviously lots of different ways to do customer research and develop market insights. The single most effective tool that I've found and have used in enterprise SaaS is purely doing win-loss interviews, win-loss research in the form of interviews with the actual buyer. That's been incredibly effective. You pair that really qualitative work with the quantitative, which is, here's how many opportunities that we had, opportunities by segment. Here are the stated loss reasons and win reasons. Although those are often stated by the rep, who may or may not be accurately restating what the buyer told them. That's been the most effective thing, is basically to have an external research firm sit down with as many deals that are won and as many deals that are lost as possible, and hear directly from the person who ran the evaluation on the other side of the phone or other side of the desk, why they did or didn't buy. That's been just far and away the most useful and most effective way to bring market insight into the companies where I've worked.
Michael, you're a smart guy. You're a personable guy. You could get on the phone and do this. Why wouldn't you just do this yourself?
Yeah, there's so many reasons, but that's often, the pushback that you're going to get right away when you ask for budget to do this is why can't you just do it? I thought that's what product marketers did. You're telling me you're going to sub it out. But there's really good reason to. And the most important from my perspective is we all have biases. We've all drank the Kool-Aid, whether or not we wanted to. And so pretty quickly, you just bring a set of biases to the table that are going to handicap your ability to do this correctly. By hiring and using an external firm to do it, you truly have like neutral, you have a truly neutral third party who is ready to listen and ready to learn without bringing any of your internal biases to the table. They don't know anything about your product vision. They don't know anything about the 19 town halls you've heard about getting motivated to sell this thing to this person for this reason. So they can come to these conversations with a blank slate and truly learn from the customer. They don't dismiss anything. That neutrality is just incredible. It's almost like, watching a child learn something for the first time. They don't have any I can't do it, or it shouldn't work that way. And they're able to, just purely learn. So that's the far and away the most important reason. Sort of related to that, the person on the other side of the phone is a person. And so they may or may not want to offend you as the person who works for the company that they told no. They may or may not want to be really honest with you about why they did or didn't buy. So even if you're the product marketer and you're not the sales rep who they worked with, through the deal, they might still guard their answers a little bit. And then the last reason, it's the least important, but I think a product marketer listening to this could relate. We're very busy people. And so if you're able to actually just do your work and have an external search firm do the market research work while you stay busy, you're just able to do twice as much with the same amount of time, and leverages everything as a PMM, because you just are often asked to do too much with too little. And so you can get some leverage. It's great. So those are the three reasons in order of priority from my perspective.
Really good ones. I'm wondering, is there also a advantage in having the voice of the customer come through someone external to the company in terms of the audience to whom you're addressing this? Have you found that people listen differently? Have you sensed that? Maybe not.
Absolutely. So once you actually have the insight and the research, having a neutral third party be the one who provides that insight to your cross-functional partners is incredibly valuable, because it's no longer you, the PMM, telling the product management team, hey, per these deals, we've got these functionality gaps. It looks like this competitor has it. When can we prioritize these on the roadmap? I totally understand that there are competing priorities. It's no longer you, it's a neutral third party who can speak from a position of complete neutrality. They're Switzerland, and they're just saying, hey, this is the voice of the customer. This is the data. It's not, Michael, the PMM, who's been bugging you about this for a few months. But similarly, sales leadership, it's incredibly valuable for sales leadership to hear it from a neutral third party, and perhaps even more importantly, the leadership team. Because again, going back to, if you're going to raise some money to solve a problem, you need to be, oftentimes kind of hard-headed. And so having a, relatively lower level employee on your team provide this insight might sound one way. Having an external search firm who's completely neutral provide this feedback to you and your team comes across another way.
What have you found is really important to look for in a partner who does that?
Yeah. The biggest thing is you're looking for people with natural empathy and natural curiosity, because if they can take an empathetic and curious approach to what someone's saying in an industry that they maybe have never worked in, or maybe have never run a research project in, they're gonna learn quickly and accurately understand what the customer is saying, because they have the interpersonal skills to hear people and understand them and put themselves in their shoes and feel the pain, so to speak, if only intellectually, that they go through at work on a day-to-day basis. And so that's the biggest thing. Now, how much time are you going to spend with them personally, sussing out their ability to do that? I don't know. And so, frankly, just asking around for recommendations of a firm that's done it successfully in the past. Wayne, I have used you now a few times at B2P to provide insight for me from the market into my companies and products that I work for. And I'll probably use you forever because of how incredible the work is and the insights have been that B2P has been able to provide. So yeah, I think that's what you're looking for. And asking around for recommendations is a great way to find who the right people truly are. You don't really just want someone who's like treats it like a cold calling exercise and takes, a customer profile and blasts out some LinkedIn ads and runs through a robotic interview process. You really want people who provide a structured, interview process, but also have the interpersonal skills to use both the empathy and the curiosity to get you what you need. The contracts that I'm helping to sell are enormous, and the buying audience for them is incredibly small. And so it just, in the same way that, search engine marketing, as an example, doesn't really lend itself to, my business model as this gold vein acquisition channel. I don't know that like a form-based survey is going to provide the right insight, given it's 2, 5, 10, $15 million contracts, and there's maybe a few hundred people in the US who represent the real buyers. That kind of value just lends itself to a really good personal interaction. Also, good luck getting the C-suite of a financial services industry, firm to sit down and fill out a form adequately and honestly. And I just think that you're going to need a person on the other end of the line, so to speak, to really understand their problems, help them articulate it, and then on the other end, package it up in a way that it can be deployed in your business to, again, increase your growth rate. If you can just truly become the champion for the voice of the customer and provide that insight in everything that you do, whether it's approaching a piece of collateral that your content marketing manager needs help with, whether it's approaching a pitch deck, whether it's approaching, even just a small feature, right? A new usability enhancement. If you're able to bring the customer's perspective into everything, you're going to start doing a whole lot more of the right work that creates real value. And in doing so, you're going to create a case for not having to do some of the wrong work, which we all know the busy work abounds. But if you're not able to demonstrate what the customer cares about, and therefore what you should do to position yourselves, package yourselves, price yourselves as a solution to their problem, until you can do that, you're going to be doing a lot of basically busy work. So I would prioritize that early and often. Don't be scared to join sales calls. Don't think that attending events is like not worth your time. And if at all possible, bring in a search firm and champion the voice of the customer in your business. You're going to go from like a individual contributor PMM to a strategic aspect of, your company's leadership. And that's when your career starts to get a whole lot more fun.
So, Michael, I've heard PMM as being either the best job in the world or the worst job in the world. The job where you are either at the center of the marketing heart and brain of the company that helps make everything happen, or you are scattered to the wind. What's been the difference between those two for you?
Yeah, that's completely true. It's either the world's best job, or frankly, it might be the world's worst. And the two things that have been like paramount to, making it the world's best job and being truly the strategic, quarterback from a go-to-market perspective, is one, prioritization. If you can get yourself and product marketing as a function in a position to prioritize its roadmap the same way a product management team does, and a well-led product management team, you're doing a great job. Now, in order to do that, the most effective thing that you can do is really deeply understand the market and the customer's problems within it, and be able to champion their voice, and not just, oh, they want these features, bop, bop, bop. Or they want it to be cheaper. It's like, here is their problems. Here are the outcomes they could have by solving those problems. Here's the value of, them achieving those like outcomes. Now, how do we present our entire solution across features and services, the expertise of our company? How do we present that whole thing as a demonstrably better solution to the customer's problems? That's where you're going to make that shift. So it's a long-winded way of saying, the better you can do this market research and understand these challenges and articulate to your business their strategic implications, and therefore the tactical things it needs to do to jump off the page as a solution to the customer's problems. You can do that, then you're going to have an excellent job in product marketing. You're not going to be just shipping data sheets and collateral and whatever the thing of the day is. And you're going to be working on long-term strategically valuable projects. So that's how to turn that corner. And it's pretty crucial, because if you don't, you're not, at least from my perspective, going to love product marketing, because you'll find yourself, despite going from company to company, you'll find yourself being, to one degree or another, a service center. And that's just, it's no fun. It's not as valuable of a role as product marketing could be to the company. And so for all the reasons, you don't want to go there, and market insight, market research is the way to get out of it.